car crash cases, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts. The attorneys with Josh Wright from the law firm of Hollis Wright and host David Lamb.
Hello and welcome into the attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday evening for the next half hour. We put together a show that we believe will be particularly interesting to you and would love to have you play a part in it. At the bottom of the screen all throughout the next half hour, you're going to see ways where you can call, text, or email and join the conversation. Also, just a reminder of something we do each and every week. Attorneys are standing by right now to take your call, so take advantage of this opportunity and join the conversation tonight here on The Attorneys. Leading the conversation, as he often does, from the firm Hollis Wright, Josh Wright. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. I'm even happier today because we have our new set for the first time.
Yeah, the new digs.
After 200 shows, this is what we get, right?
I like it, though. I like the look.
It's looking good, and we're glad to have you here, too.
Well, and you as well. Glad to be here.
For many, many more shows, we want to have you here as long as we can.
Well, I'll be here.
You know, Dave, we're going to be doing something, this is a first for us. We have not done a show on entertainment law, and this will be the first time that we have done this.
Right.
We've done a lot of different shows.
We have.
A lot of different topics. But we're going to be talking with Lawrence Johnson today. Lawrence has a law firm here in town that primarily focuses, he does some other things, but primarily focuses in the area of entertainment law. And when I got prepared for the show, it was amazed to me how broad this topic is.
It is broad.
So we're super excited to have you on, Lawrence, and just really happy to kind of delve into this topic, a unique topic. Before we get into it, though, I'd like you to do this if you can. Tell us, how did you kind of get in this area of law? Because you and I can both agree this is a total specialty in this area.
Well, I got my start in entertainment law at BMG Music Publishing. I was in the contract administration section. I kept track of all the publishing contracts and the terms in them, when they were going to become due, if they were honored. And I would make recommendations to executives whether to re-sign, exercise options within the contract, or agree to the particular songwriter's demands with respect to new terms in the contract. So that's where I got my start. My experience is primarily in the publishing and songwriting areas, and I have included that in my practice out here in Birmingham.
That's great. Tell us just a little bit, in general terms, what is entertainment law? Because I know it is such a unique area of the law.
Well, entertainment law primarily consists of legal services that attorneys provide to the entertainment industry. For instance, there's production legal, and production legal are services that attorneys provide to production companies that are making movies. The production of movies requires numerous licenses from local governments, and to be approved for those permits and licenses, applications, forms of those types need to be prepared, and attorneys do that quite frequently to help, in this case, production companies. They also organize movie companies. Before any movie is going to be shot, there have to be investors. A production company in and of itself needs to be formed so that the movie can be made.
Tell me a little bit about, I've heard Birmingham actually has become, I won't say a mecca, but an area where movies are produced and filmed here in this area. Is that accurate?
Well, it is. There have been new statutes passed regarding the shooting of movies in Alabama, and providing incentives to movie studios, production companies that choose Atlanta as a location for their particular movie. In addition, Alabama naturally offers just a wide range, a beautiful setting for many types of movies. If you recall, My Cousin Vinny was shot here and centered around Alabama. Part of other movies, in addition, take advantage of the Alabama setting.
Don't forget Talladega Nights, of course.
Right.
A classic, one of my favorites.
Right.
I can watch every weekend.
Good stuff.
Now, as part of your role in entertainment law, are you contract negotiating for artists, or are you trying to protect their work? How does that kind of shake down?
Both.
Okay.
Frequently, I draft, review, negotiate their particular contracts. In my practice, it's primarily publishing contracts and songwriting contracts. Some of the practice will involve intellectual property. And
what is that?
Well,
I've heard that term a lot, but help us kind of flesh that out. What does that mean, intellectual property?
Well, intellectual property is basically the creation of a particular work that would be intangible and also a product of the mind. And entertainment law allows, or intellectual property allows one to own those particular creations.
So it's an idea in some sort of published form?
Yes.
I would assume it must be published rather than, hey, I had that idea, you stole my idea.
It actually does not need to be published. There's certain legal constructs, and the main one I think we're going to talk about today is copyright. There's also trademark. But the legal construct in this case pertaining to our discussion is going to be copyright. And that is going to protect original works of authorship fixed in a tangible medium of expression. Now that's a fancy way of saying if you have a book and you write it on paper, now you have the tangible medium of expression.
Okay.
So
yeah, and one of the things I want to ask about your area of the law, the entertainment law, it covers a lot of different medias, does it not?
Absolutely.
Give me some examples of things that shows just how broad this area of the law is.
Well, you can go into the movie business, motion pictures, also song recording, the record labels, publishing rights, literary, just a number of industries, those being the main few.
Give me an example. What's a typical client that would come to you that you would see in this area of the law? Is it generally an entertainer or a comedian or someone that's writing a book that wants to protect what they're doing? I mean, how does that normally happen in this area for you?
In this area, in my practice, it's primarily small creators, writers, publishers. It is not the big entertainment companies. There are no movie studios in Birmingham that I know of. There are some recording studios, but none that I know of that would match those in Nashville and Birmingham.
David, I know we're getting ready to go to break here. One of the things I do want to do is I want to talk when we get back about this concept of copyright and how you can protect your works and how you could infringe on somebody else's copyright if you're not careful, because there are some things that you need to do. We'll talk about that when we get back.
We'll step aside as we do so. A reminder, call, text, email, join the conversation. Maybe you're a songwriter. I want to know what you need to do to make sure that you're protected. Tonight's the night to find out. Get in touch with us, call, text, email. Would love to hear from you and have you join the conversation. Stay tuned. More of The Attorneys coming right up.
I'm Carter Clay with the law firm of Hollis Wright. Thanks for watching The Attorneys on WVTM 13. Now we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never need legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of this show is simple: to provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to this show or related to other specific legal matters, call, email, or text us to talk with one of our lawyers. You can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter to learn about important legal news that could affect you or your family member. Or simply contact us by going to WVTM13.com and click on the Attorneys link. Now we know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us and for watching The Attorneys right here on WVTM 13.
Welcome back into The Attorneys. Appreciate you spending this evening with us, having an interesting conversation about entertainment law. So all you aspiring authors out there of books, folks who have songs written and what to do with them, Tonight's the night to find out. Call, text, email. Would love to have you join our conversation tonight. Josh?
Yeah, and so when we went to break, talked a little bit about, I want to kind of get into copyrights, and I'd like to do that. Kind of explain this concept of copyright when, let's assume, for example, that you have this work, whether it's a book that you're writing or an architecture plan or whatever it may be. How do you copyright it, and do you have to? Like, does it self-copyright itself? Do you have to go to the patent office? Explain how that process works.
A copyright is created the very moment you put whatever the creation you're working on onto a tangible medium of expression. So your copyright exists as soon as you create it. Now, you don't have to register it to own the copyright. However, registration does provide advantages. The most important one is you have the right to file an infringement case in federal district court if your particular work of authorship is registered. You don't have that right until it is registered.
So, and where would you go to actually get it registered if you were going to do that?
Well, you would just, the Copyright Office, you would procure an application, fill it out properly, mail in a $30 check for registration, and include a non-returnable copy of your work so they can have it on file.
What is the benefit, though? Why would one want to do that as opposed to it just kind of being copyrighted because it's an original work itself?
Well, the advantage of a copyright is that if someone else uses it without your authorization, you can send them a cease and desist letter. Okay. Please stop, your use is unauthorized. And if they don't, you can take them to court over it and make them establish a reason why they're using it. For instance, they claim that it's fair use, which is a legal doctrine, or they dispute the use of the song. They might claim that it has no relation.
Gotcha.
And just quickly, does copyright need to be renewed, or is it a one-time deal?
If it's created after January 1st, 1978, you do not need to renew it.
Okay.
For works created prior to that, renewal is advisable.
Right.
Because there have been some extensions for copyrights, and to take advantage of those prior to January 1, 1978, you'd want to renew it.
Birmingham is full of folks who are creating different things, whether it be screenwriters here or writers here, and certainly songwriters. There's a lot of music in Birmingham. So to that audience, and we're kind of hearing from those folks, to that audience, all right, say I've written a song. What are the steps that I need to do to get that? Should I copyright it, get it protected, and kind of what are the steps? What should I do with the song I have written, a new song I've written?
Well, number one, you want to, I would register it. I would always register it.
Even if it's not recorded, or should you wait till it's recorded?
No, you want to register it as soon as you create it.
Okay, all right.
That is going to give you the ability to send the copyright certificate registration to the party that you think is engaging in an unauthorized use of the song.
Okay.
If you don't have the money, you definitely want to publish the date of creation, so that in the future you can establish that as the origin date, the first date of the existence of the copyright. So you want to publish it, and if you can't do that, you definitely want to maintain a copy.
Is a copyright infringement, there's a whole area of the law out there for that, is there not?
Sure.
Does it have to be that somebody, for example, when we're talking about songs, do they have to just identically use the same melody, the same words, etc., or can you have a likeness, if you will, of a song that's so similar that it infringes on the copyright of that song?
It will infringe if there's a substantial similarity between the two works. Now, substantial similarity is awfully general. That's going to be subject to the court's ruling. Mm-hmm. It's been as little as a very small phrase, and sometimes it requires a lot more than that. Now, When you do have a substantial similarity, what you're infringing upon is the right to make a derivative work from the original. And if you do acquire authorization to make that derivative work, you have your own copyright in that derivative work.
Where does one go if they think that they're whatever it is, whatever media we're talking about, whether it's a written book, music, etc. Where does somebody go to file these suits if they think there's an infringement? I mean, is there first you may write a cease and desist letter, but if that doesn't work, is there a certain court that you go to file these cases?
Federal district court in your local jurisdiction.
Okay.
And there seems, as you guys are talking, I'm thinking of cases that have done this. I mean, there's one of the ones I can think of is Robin Thicke had a big song. I can't think of the name of that song, but I know Marvin Gaye's family sued him saying that his huge hit, that was a Marvin Gaye song, and the words completely different, but the beat, I mean the beat of this, if you play them side by side, it sounds just like that song, and they ended up settling out of court. So is it fairly common, those sort of skirmishes, legal skirmishes, to take place with someone trying to steal someone else's songs in some form or fashion?
All the time. If you have a work that's generated a tremendous amount of profit, there are sometimes numerous suits of people claiming an interest in that particular musical composition because it has generated so much revenue. What do they have to lose?
Yeah. Take a break?
Yeah, let's do that. I want to talk about royalties when we get back, though.
Okay.
Because there are ways for those that have something copyrighted or an original work that they can get royalties for those things when people use it down the road. So I do want to talk about that.
We'll talk royalties when we come back. A reminder, as we head to break, you can get in touch with and keep up with the firm of Hollis Wright on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, if you'll just search the term Hollis Wright, you'll find him there. And on Twitter, it is Hollis_Wright. So Hollis Wright also on social media as well. Stay tuned. We're coming right back.
I'm Tyler Vale with the law firm of Hollis Wright. As with any industry, it's important in the legal world to hire an attorney that is knowledgeable and has a track record of success. But with so many attorneys out there and so many different types of cases, how does someone decide the right lawyer to hire? In this week's Legal 411, we're answering the question, what should I consider in hiring an attorney? In-state versus out-of-state, big firm or little firm, recommendations from friends or family, the internet, the phone book, or TV. With so many choices and so much information, it can be an overwhelming task trying to make the right decision. To complicate things, choosing a lawyer is an important and sometimes life-affecting decision and should not be taken lightly. So how do you select an attorney? Do your research. Look the firm up on the internet. Ask friends and family whether they know or have any experience with a specific firm. If you know any local lawyers, ask them about the reputation of the firms you may be considering. Call a local law office and ask if they are handling cases like yours. There's a good chance they can help you. But if they can't, they can always refer you to someone they respect who handles your type of case. And remember, ask questions face to face. Ask about their experience in handling cases like yours. How often someone from their office will be available to you, and what you can expect during the process. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you.
Welcome back into the Attorneys, our final segment. So just a few moments remaining. If you want to get involved in the conversation, call, text, email. That information at the bottom of the screen throughout the program tonight. Josh?
Let's talk just a little bit about royalties. If you have an original work and somebody's going to use it, oftentimes folks will come to you and you have the ability to negotiate a royalty deal with them. How does that process work?
Well, in the music industry, you're talking about three basic types of royalties. You're going to be talking about publishing royalties, royalties for synchronization, and also mechanical royalties. Now I'll explain each. Publishing royalties are basically connected with the use of the musical composition. Anytime the song is sung, the song is comprised of the musical composition itself, and there's a royalty for the use of it. Now, when you talk about mechanical royalties, you are talking about the original sound recording. Anytime you put that original sound recording on a CD, MP3, and 20 years ago it would be records, you're going to get a mechanical royalty. So albums that sell a tremendous amount of albums are going to generate more mechanical royalties than an album that does not. The last royalty would be synchronization royalty. That refers to the use of the original sound recording and composition in a motion picture. Let's see here, the publishing royalties are statutorily priced. So there's not going to be any negotiation regarding that. Now, synchronization and mechanical royalties, there's more flexibility in the negotiation.
I was gonna, one of the questions I was going to ask, I've just been thinking throughout the show is, let's assume, for example, we wanted to use, a Alabama song, an Aerosmith song, a Grateful Dead song on the show as our show intro. Could we just go ahead and do that without asking? Do you have to go and get permission? Do you have to pay for it? Do you buy blocks of these songs? How does that work in general?
Well, there are numerous ways this could pan out. Number one, the typical way is you would pay the publisher and recording company a royalty for using the musical composition and the recording. The other possibility, or another possibility, would be as a result of purchasing the recording, you could then, since it's now your property, use that recording, make your own recording in addition to that of the song, and use that as your intro. Another possibility would be possibly infringing if you did not request authorization from the copyright holder on that
What's
song.
this concept of, you and I talked off camera about fair use and public domain. I know those are different concepts, but is there any song out there that's so widely used and accepted and known that one doesn't have to go get some type of approval to use it?
I don't think the song and publishing industry is a real good fair use area. Fair use is not going to be real prevalent. Where it is prevalent is in the literary world. When you are publishing a book, a research book, or a book that educators are going to use, that's going to fall within the fair use defense. There are a couple different criteria that courts are going to use to determine whether someone qualifies for the fair use defense. These are not set in stone, but traditionally courts have used these. One is the nature of the work. Is it an educational work, or is it something that's purely profit-driven? Do they use the entire work, or do they use a small portion? That's going to play a big factor. The effect of the marketplace in allowing someone to use the fair use defense. Is it going to destroy the entire market for this particular plaintiff? So the court will base its decision on those three factors.
I've got a question here, but lest folks think that this subject matter does not affect them, is it not true that on a Sunday morning, the songs that are sung in church, if it's recorded by someone else, the church has to pay for that? There's some kind of a publishing deal. And even like at an Alabama and Auburn game, the songs that they play, that everybody kind of jams to, the same deal there. That's someone else's property, and somewhere along the way, somebody's had to pay to use that in such a broad use of that.
Well, I would add, anytime you go to a local pub or bar and there's live music, somebody needs the bar owner needs to purchase a license from the publisher to authorize the use of those songs. Otherwise, it's theft.
What about a band that plays cover songs from someone else? Allowed because it's their original work, they're the ones singing it?
If a band uses someone else's cover song, if they cover a song, no, there's definitely they're going to owe a royalty on the use of the musical composition. And they're also going to have to purchase a performance license. Typically, that can be the responsibility of the bar owner. It can be the responsibility of the band itself. Usually, the two will negotiate it out. Frequently, nobody pays anything, and it slips through the cracks.
Yeah. Just a couple of minutes remaining, but I want to give you the opportunity just to talk to our viewers and kind of leave them with a final charge and a piece of advice from you.
Sure. In my area of the entertainment practice, I've seen repeatedly publishing contracts, production contracts that are extremely unfair to that particular producer or songwriter, and so unfair that it really destroys the whole purpose of the contract. And the particular artist would almost be better off not engaging in business. Now, if you get an attorney's going to be able to advise you on the quality of the contract and whether it's really worth going into business with this particular record label, publishing company, production company. And I would suggest before you sign anything, definitely seek the counsel of an entertainment attorney.
I was going to say the same thing. To the extent that you're in this area, it's obviously a complicated, complex area. You want to make sure that you get with somebody like Lawrence, and you are being advised appropriately on how to negotiate these contracts and what terms are appropriate and what terms would not be appropriate. So, unique topic. Not going to apply to every viewer that we have out there, but certainly going to apply to folks that are in this area of the law, and that's what we try and do with this show, is provide broad topics and sometimes more specific topics.
Yeah, if ever there was a case not to go it alone, it's with something that's complicated.
Thank you for being on. Appreciate it.
Appreciate both of you joining us. Thank you for joining us as well. As we step aside, here's how you can continue to get in touch with the firm of Hollis Wright. Would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time right here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright.